This is Colin O'Keefe here for LXBN TV as part of our coverage of the 2015 Legal Marketing Association Annual Conference. I'm speaking with the event's keynote speaker, Daniel Pink. He is the best-selling author of Drive and to Sell is Human, and we are speaking about that second book. Daniel, one of your points is that, really, like it or not, we're all in sales now. Selling is part of just about everyone's everyday job. Can you explain, in your view, why making selling part of everyone's job, why is that so important nowadays?
Well, I think it's just a stark reality of white-collar work today, that if you look at how white-collar workers of any kind spend their time, they're spending a big portion of it selling, at least in the broad sense. Now, in some cases, certainly for LMA members, they are selling and marketing legal services. It's true for the lawyers inside of firms that they have a role now. They might not like it, but they have a role in actually selling their professional services. But if you look more broadly inside of any kind of operation, people are spending a lot of their time persuading, influencing, convincing people to do stuff. It could be pitching your idea at a meeting. You could be a boss trying to get people to do things differently or do things in a different way. You could be trying to get your boss to do something different or free up resources for a project. And so some really interesting data showing that for white-collar workers, selling, persuading, influencing is a huge part of what they do and what makes some people successful and others less so.
Definitely, definitely. And then, of course, that's not the only thing that's changed. It's not just more people doing sales, but also the practice of sales as well. And that's one of your key points, too. How has sales changed? What are some ways that people are doing it differently? So it's, I don't know if sleazy is the right word, but it doesn't carry the negative connotation that it once did. What are some new ways?
Well, you're exactly right about the negative connotations. And to me, the negative connotations come not from sales itself, but from the conditions in which most sales were executed, and indeed most persuasion and influence were executed. Most of what we know about this topic has come from a world of information asymmetry, where the seller always had more information than the buyer. When the seller has more information than the buyer, the seller can rip you off. This is why we have the principle of buyer beware. But what's happened in the last 10 years, and it's happened in a way that's so swift that a lot of us haven't quite grokked it, is that information asymmetry has become something closer to information parity. And so when the buyers and sellers have similar amounts of information, indeed when the buyer has a lot of choices, when the buyer has a way to talk back, that's a very different landscape. To my mind, that's a landscape of seller beware, where now the sellers are on notice. And seller beware and buyer beware are vastly different enterprises. And in a world of seller beware, a world of information parity, where buyers can talk back, you can't take the low road. You got to take the high road. And what's interesting about taking that high road is that this rich body of social science gives us some clues about how to take the high road and do it in an ethical way, but also in a way that is effective.
Absolutely, absolutely. Things have changed so much nowadays. And yeah, you really have to be having everyone selling. And then, of course, that's a great point that the buyer almost has more information than the seller nowadays, and the sellers themselves, they have to prepare accordingly. Once again, that was Daniel Pink. He is the keynote speaker at the 2015 Legal Marketing Association Annual Conference, and he is also, again, the author of Drive and to Sell is Human. For more of our coverage of this event, visit us at lxbn.com/LMA15. Thank you for joining me today, Dan.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Colin.